When I started WITI in 1989, it really grew out of a consciousness I was developing about women who were involved in technology. I had started a company called Criterion Research, and my clients were high-tech and aerospace companies. And through that business, those women educated me about what they were experiencing inside the client companies I was working with. And that was a real awakening for me, because I had come from an educational background as a teacher where women were really the majority, and it was a very different kind of environment for women. So I developed that consciousness later in my life. And I used to think, as many women still do, that a woman could do whatever she wanted to. It had nothing to do with being a woman, until I met some of the most brilliant, well-educated, talented women in aerospace and high technology companies, and there were enough of a sample of these women and differences in personalities where I realized that they were working in very toxic environments, but that it was a very complex issue, and that it had a lot to do with how women saw ourselves, how we see ourselves is so critical to what we can and will achieve. And it's taken me years to realize that as women, we have a lot of consciousness to develop, and that we've reached a point now in our history as women have evolved. I believe we're at a place in our history where we now can start focusing on ourselves. That many years ago we had to focus on a lot of external things like changing the laws, just getting the right to vote. That was only 70 years ago. So we've now evolved to the place where we have the luxury of starting to look at ourselves and start creating a shift, because our power is and always was with us, our brains, our unique talents, and our ability to support each other. So what I talked about as far as starting to develop a consciousness about all these smart, talented women feeling truly held back, underutilized, that was one big catalyst in starting WITI. Another one was that email was just coming into the mainstream. This was back in 1989. So I saw email as an incredible tool to give women a competitive edge. That was another factor. Another thing that motivated me to start WITI was, as a businesswoman, I was already I was in the middle of building my fourth company, so I saw myself as a businesswoman entrepreneur. I was really disappointed in my experiences going to other women's organizations and seeing women's groups and how they were dealing with issues. I felt that the way most of these groups were positioning themselves were not helping us. That I truly believe that I did see a vision for some of the elements that could make a difference in women's lives. And why was that important to me at all? Because my mother was my role model. She inspired me from the time I sat next to her at 10 years old, and I watched her run a business and just share this incredible wisdom to all the teachers that would come in to buy her products, but really were there because they wanted to get a sense of her perspective on life and issues that were important to them. So she was my role model, and really through her modeling helped me see a picture of combining business with a very spiritual avenue, that really they could go together beautifully. And I saw that growing up with my mother, and as I understood how trapped women were and how angry they were, I really thought about what I could do to contribute to making a difference in women's lives. Because as a woman, I truly believe that the ultimate power is not only in ourselves, but our ability to give and support to each other. That when we achieve that fully, we can have whatever we want, because we were just born with so many natural gifts, and we have to start supporting each other and trusting each other instead of competing against each other. So I had a very strong philosophical component about what I felt we needed as women that was a big motivator in my wanting to start WITI. So all these things were going on in my life, and then I happened to go to a coffee shop to meet a client one day. I was still running Criterion Research, and she was 30 minutes late, and I picked up a major business magazine that had as a cover story, why women were not succeeding. And the statistic that I'll never forget that just blew me away was that women had made in the previous 10-year period only a 2% increase into mid-management. I couldn't believe the progress had been that slow. And I just sat there thinking about what I felt I could do to make a difference, and email was coming into the mainstream. I was doing a lot of work for Hewlett-Packard Laboratories, where they modeled putting together very diverse backgrounds into a team to share information, to empower and produce a product. And I thought about creating an email network that was then focused on women in technology, because that was the group that I was dealing with. That was the group that I felt I could help and make a difference with, and I felt these women had so much to contribute to society. They were the women who could really make a difference in the world, and I wanted to be a catalyst to unleash their talent and open up possibilities for them, because I believed we would all benefit. So when I started WITI, again, I was still running this company, and I thought, fine, you know, I'll make this, I'll start another company that creates an email network, and it just exploded. And a lot of things occurred that were tremendous growing experiences for all of us, but it certainly hit a tone and came at a time when women really wanted something other than what they were getting, just like me. They didn't want to go to groups that were all cliquey. They didn't want to be part of necessarily a very angry group of feminists who felt that just getting angry at everybody, or you know, positioning ourselves as victims. There were many women like me who felt that a more business-centric approach to these issues was what we needed to take women to the next step. And of course, that was perfectly congruent with my interest in starting this as a business, because I had always believed in business, that nobody took the word volunteer or nonprofit seriously. It was very clear to me that the only women, as I looked around me, that men were respecting, grudgingly or not, were women like Oprah, who were powerful businesswomen making a lot of money. And as WITI has evolved over the 15-year period, I have come to believe that one of our greatest barriers as women has been this buying into this message that many of us got, that if you're going to be a good girl, you're not supposed to make a lot of money. and money is evil, and thinking about money is bad, and it's all fabricated, and we've bought into it. Thank goodness for Oprah, because Oprah, who is clearly one of my great role models, has what excites me about Oprah so much is she has really demonstrated to women over the world that it's okay to acquire a lot of wealth, but that our responsibility is to use that wealth to transform the world in the most positive way we can. And my goal for Witty Women is really to produce a lot of Oprahs. Why is there only one? There should be millions of us. So as I've evolved to today, 2004, and I see where we've come as women, how we've developed, I believe now that given all the data about the amount of money we're generating, the amount of money that we have as purchasing power, that if we come together and start hiring each other, start hiring more women, start every time we have a vendor to hire, an attorney, an accountant, anyone who we're a designer, whoever we want to spend money on, stop and think about whether there's a woman you can hire first. Does that mean we hate men? Not at all. What it means is as women acquire and consciously go after more wealth and look at themselves as equal, deserving partners in this world, men will be freed to start pursuing their dreams instead of dying young of heart attacks because all the burden of being the breadwinner has been their baggage. That we're partners in this with men and women, and we have to, as women, step up to the plate, stop this myth about someone's supposed to give it to us. No one's supposed to give it to us, and no one will. So you may wonder, with my talk about always hiring women, why is the president of WITI a man? My son David was really co-founder of WITI, in that when I started WITI, David was already vice president of Criterion Research, and he basically funded WITI through bringing in a lot of contracts for the first 5 years of WITI. In fact, our whole family has been the sole fund for WITI. My son Daniel came in, he left a fabulous job at CNET and just jumped in because both my boys had such belief in changing the world's perception about women, and Daniel just jumped in, left CNET, and created our fabulous technology today. So both of my boys have been very much a driving force in my ability and my vision for WITI, and David has brought a whole new dimension as a man to WITI that I never had, which of course is the ultimate definition of diversity. So we welcome men and women in WITI, but we created the WITI marketplace so that you had the ability to find anyone you needed who was either a woman-owned business or a business run by a man who fully supports the whole philosophy of WITI. Each of you can and has made a complete commitment to realize and give each other the commitment of making it happen, using our talent and resources to be the best we can, and not to accept less. We cannot cry about lower salaries for women if we're willing to accept lower salaries. We have to stop that. We have to decide that we are worthy of equal partnership, that if we want something, it's our responsibility to help each other get it. And that's really what WITI stands for, helping each other in every way possible. I want every WITI network throughout the world to be a place where any one of us can walk in if we happen to be visiting that city, and when we walk out, we'll know that we've experienced a fully supportive environment where everyone in that room is truly committed to help each other succeed. That we take the selfish, competitive part that may be part of all of us and make it unimportant. Help each other reinforce the best of ourselves and experience the joy of walking into an organization where we're there because we know that the ultimate win is going to be if we all win. Not if I win and you lose, and not if you win and I lose. That the ultimate win is to make all of us win and help each other in every way we can. And so the spiritual component of WITI is what I call the heart and soul of WITI. That if we find people coming to meetings who really want to engage in I'm better than you because I'm a CEO and you're only a secretary, or whatever the stuff is, we can't continue to do that to each other. We have to truly understand and appreciate that everyone in the room has equal value and equal importance, and if they walk in front of us and we're lucky enough to meet them, then we need to say, what can I do to enrich that person's life? Because if we all do that for each other, the energy will just go around the world and it will be immediately uplifted to a better place, and everybody wins. So WITI's soul is really the engine behind WITI. Our vision is to create a machine that will help more women get recognition, open doors for women through our partnerships. I mean, what we use WITI for excites me the most, and that is to use WITI as a machine to help every woman succeed, to spotlight women who nobody ever heard of, who are incredible, to find these incredibly talented women like the first programmers in the world and acknowledge them at our Hall of Fame when nobody even knew that the first programmers were women. There's so much we can do if you join WITI and we work together, and I hope I get the opportunity to meet every woman who's watching this film, because every WITI woman I've met, I've just only been better because of that woman and your presence. So thank you.